Hello everyone, it's Pwnsalot from TV, and I'm just here playing some Final Fantasy XI, doing some old school incursion. This is the scoreboard for the last incursion we just did. I just zoned out of it. I'm playing Thief sub White Mage, and I'm still second on the parse. That's pretty good, but why White Mage? I just feel like in most parties with lower content that I'm overgeared for, I can't expect everyone to be overgeared for them, so I like sub White Mage in general because of its utility. Like, there were times in the last run that we just did where even though we had a level 99 White Mage in the party, we had a moment where silence was on some of our players, so subbing White Mage I have access to Silena, so I can take silence off of like the Blue Mage right here. And before that, I guess the White Mage was having trouble or something at one point or another. There was a time where everybody was really taking a ton of damage, and there was probably 10 mobs on the Blue Mage all at the same time, and I was able to basically use all of my mana to heal up the Blue Mage the whole time. I did tap out of mana, but by the time I had done that, I had flashed so many targets and I had cured so many times that I had generated so much enmity that I was actually tanking some of those mobs for the Blue Mage. And as a thief, I really don't ever get hit, so I don't mind tanking. So the cure spams really helped me pull hate, and the flash, being able to flash things every few seconds, and having access to haste. I was able to haste the samurai at one point. He didn't have haste, and he was like, oh, thanks. If I'd not subbed White Mage, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to constantly keep haste on everybody, Silena every time it was needed. And tapping out of mana is not a problem because all the bosses in this content, they have mana, so you can use energy drain, a weapon skill, quite easily on them, especially after you spent a minute or two actually tanking everything that was hitting your party because you cured everything. You cured everything, you got all the hate, you tank everything, now they're hitting you, now you're still curing yourself. Eventually your TP's tapping out to 3000 because they're hitting you so much. So then when you just go in for the energy drain, it's gonna fill up your mana bar every single time. It's just not a problem. You just fill up the mana bar. As long as you hit something that has mana to begin with, you're no problem. You could just hit the guy and you'll fill up your mana bar, and you could just cast whatever other spells you need. You always have re-raise on, so there's no excuse for if you ever do die or your party wipes or something like that. You could just raise people. I believe I raised someone this time. I'm not sure, but you have that option simply because you brought sub White Mage. So yeah, it's kind of quirky that a DPS like Thief actually does something like White Mage sub, but in general, from my experience in social interaction and any sort of MMO, you really need to cover all of your bases. Like, I learned this from League of Legends, honestly, that you can cover all of your bases in a lot of different games and actually win better that way, as long as you have an answer for whatever the enemy is actually trying to do. And in this case, if they're trying to really just group up and kill your Blue Mage, well, you have cure spells, that's an answer, so there you go. You have flash, that's another answer. Oh, they killed your Blue Mage, which he was basically dead before I started cure spamming him with Divine Seal, pretty clutch. If he dies, you have Raise. That's another answer to what they're trying to do. So the utility is really good, and it really helps us win the content, and that's what we're here for. So I'll sub White Mage in any role, honestly. Paladin, Thief, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to reset the scoreboard here. We're actually going to keep filming, and I'm going to watch this incursion run. This is basically a redo of what I just did, so I already know how it's going to play out. I already know what my energy drain targets are from playing the last time. If we do the exact same bosses, it should be clockwork, but you might notice sometimes where the sub White Mage was really clutch. It didn't even matter that it was on the Thief, but the fact that I have the energy drain, it's just a little bit more handy for me. So let's reset. Bach and Beers, I guess, for Old Chuck and Ironside pops. I'm down. Totally down. Alright, so we're doing Bach first. We didn't do Bach first last time. Alright, so I'm already in the battlefield and I don't have haste. The Blue Mage has haste, but the Samurai doesn't have haste. He's running away, so I haven't hasted yet. But I'll catch him. I'll catch him with the haste. I'll get him. Right here. And if I ever tap out of mana, I can just energy drain, like I said, so it's just quite easy. Utility is so good. People just underestimate utility. I think Thief is a utility job, honestly, in general. Okay, so Spicy's gonna take a lot of damage, right? Well, I have Cure 4, so I could just actually heal him whenever he needs to be healed. The White Mage is already healing him, but with the two of us healing at the same time, like, he's not gonna take any damage, basically. I can throw a Curaga on the rest of the party that's kind of healing right now. I can engage. Like, I'll engage this guy. And all along I'll just be casting Cure spells on anybody that dips into the yellow or the orange. Makes it easier for my White Mage to control the board and actually pump out all the global spells that she needs to pump out. I have haste now. She hasted me, I guess, or he. The White Mage hasted me. Targets, and while I'm flashing, Spicy's getting kills from somebody else, so if the White Mage was the one that was flashing that target, there would have not been another healer typically, and that would have been bad, but the fact that we have an extra support White Mage kind of helps, like, resolve all the spells we need to resolve. Obviously, I would rather flash the target and tank the target than the White Mage, so it's convenient. Flash is actually really good on sub-White Mage, no matter what. Like, I love Flash. It's quicker than, if you sub-Warrior, you get broke every 30 seconds, but this is quicker than that. And like, this boss looks like a warrior, but he might have mana, and he might not be done. Fill up my Now, I'm not on the Farce because I haven't really been focusing DPS, just focusing support. I feel like we have a lot of DPS, so as long as we don't lose any members of our squad, we should be good. And that helps. Like White Mage, you can focus that. Pretty good. I think I can erase somebody because he just paralyzed the shit out of everyone. Well, erase has no effect. Well, I could erase it, but I had problems. They had a disability. Apparently no one does, and that's fine. Sneak attack, neutral storm, damage. Skill chain, that would have been pretty quick. There's a skill chain. There's a darkness, but he's already pretty much dead. Like, just casually dealing damage, I'm still on the scoreboard pretty high up there. That's not bad. And everybody's in the white. That boss was cake. Like, there wasn't even a problem. I feel like in the metagame right now, a lot of parties fail because they get too much DPS and not enough support or utility in their party, and it's a big problem. Especially if their support rule players are just not on their A-game at the time, for whatever reason. It's pretty rough for them if their support starts failing on them, because you could just argue in most cases the trusts would never fail, whereas the players would fail on things like Silena and Curaga and things like that. But just having extra people in the party that has a shot at casting those spells, it just in general improves your chances of casting those spells, right? Because there's another player that can some haste. Now, Sub-Warrior, I do get a lot of perks for DPS, like I get a Berserk, I get a War Cry, Defender if I need it, a aggressor if I need it, but in most cases, I don't really think I need it, especially if someone else already subbed warrior. The chances of us both hitting Warcry at the same time are non-existent, because that's a mistake at the same time. But it's non-existent if there's only one sub-warrior in the party, right? So, let's see if I can actually help clear the board. And sure enough, it is. So our white mage is not a big deal at the moment because everyone's still in the white HP. Yeah, sneak attack and kill this. Maybe kill it. Turned on at the last second. I don't think it's still that one. Alright, so we're on the boss side. So I put this TP and hit it with, whatever I need to hit it with. Top off everybody's country so we can go against boss without taxing the warrior so much. A couple hundred. The last time I did it, I filled up with what happened. I might have gotten resisted there. But that was the last run, it looks like, so. If you have a group like this that's actually paying attention, you don't really need to white mage on everybody, I would think. Especially if you have a white mage in the party. But, in most cases, you don't have that luxury. If you're just casually gaming, at least if you're me, I'm just casually gaming and somebody says, oh, I want to do some content, like old school content, stuff that's like 119-ish, 120, 129 tops, like anything 129 or lower. More often than not, I'll actually sub the white mage because I don't need a sub job to actually complete the content. Like in general, if I'm ever in a situation where I simply don't need a sub job to complete the content, then I'll just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna sub whatever I want, whatever helps the party. And in most cases, white mage is that job. White mage is that job that helps the party the most. I see a lot more sub white mage. I've been playing around with different support role sub jobs, a lot of jobs in videos. And in my experience, with Thief anyway, there are quite a few really good sub jobs, and most people are probably aware of most of them. Let me move this out of the way. So, for Thief, you could sub a lot of things. I have all the jobs in the game finished, but if I wanted to support anything on Thief, about half of these could do something interesting as a support job. Most things. I think they might be done. I'm just here. Yeah, I don't really have a reason to be here. I'm just here because Spicy Ryan's doing incursion. And that usually means somebody's getting something. And so why not tag along and get stuff as well, basically. Anyway, the sub jobs for Thief. Oh boy. Some of my favorites. I'll just name like 5 of my favorite sub jobs for this job. Warrior, obviously. I'll just go from top to bottom. Warrior is one that I like a lot because I can simply have provoke every 30 seconds to save a party member from getting hit in the face with basically double attack. Because that target's going to be focusing me, and again, if anything at all focuses me, it's good. It's always always is good. Trust me. If you're a good thief and they get aggro, that's the best thing in the world for you, alright? So Warrior helps me do that with the Provoke. It helps me maintain the aggro with Defender and Warcry because I don't spike on and my damage output, so I will just continue to get a spike on my enemy with the Warcry ability. And Berserk helps with that as well, but not as much as Warcry. I think Warcry is really, really strong. But yeah, so Warrior, for all those reasons, and the fact you get double attack on top of the triple attack, it's consistent TP gain right there. So if you are having problems gaining TP, Warrior sub is really good. Just the simple fact that it gets like the blanket. I think it's plus 10% double attack or something like that. Just pretty nice to go along with everything else that it does. White Mage, which is what I'm doing right now. This is one of my top 5. And obviously in no particular order, I'm just going from top to bottom. And White Mage, there's a lot of things that White Mage can do that we already talked about, but I'll just go through the list from top to bottom. You can regen to any target you want. You can silence a mage and probably land it, depending on if you're prepared with magic accuracy gear, which does exist for this job. You can probably land a silence on a target. Obviously, all of these spells in that case you could land, but some of the more useful ones for stuff like Incursion would be Regen 2, Cure 4 with or without the Divine Seal, Curaga 2 obviously, Curse is not bad, Erase is not bad, Flash is really good, you have Aqua Veil, you have Haste, you have Stone Skin, not as important with the Stone Skin, but it's there. You have the Blink, obviously, just is not as important as well. All these Nas spells are pretty good in general, because obviously they're going to land, and they're going to remove whatever effect is screwing up your party, so that's pretty good. You could land a Slow and a Paralyze, you know, that's not bad. That does proc quite often still, even the tier 1s on 99 plus content, if it lands, if the spell lands, but you could land those. You have the re-raise to fall back on, and the raise in case anybody goes down. So, like, a lot of reasons to just bring this up, the support job in general, right? It's pretty clutch. Bar Paralyzer is pretty good down here. I don't think you have a Bar Curse spell, but you have the Bar Paralyzer that's not bad. Bar Silencer could be pretty good too, depending on what you do. So a good amount of spells are useful in general, and all those spells are White Mage spells, because I'm subbing White Mage, that's the only reason I have them. So another reason to play that job, you wouldn't have those spells, all those different silver bullets, if you didn't sub White Mage in general. It doesn't matter what your main job is, like, you'd still... Just the fact that you get the spells is reason enough to play that as your support job. That's my argument. For JAs, I think just the Divine Seal is the one that you're going for, but since your main job is Thief, the weapon skill that you have access to fills up your mana bar to an extent. More or less 50 to 100% of your mana is back if you use this energy drain within reason, so another reason to play that job as a support. I think that was the only JA there yet, but yeah, pretty good. I think that you get some club weapon skills if you sub White Mage. And there are some pretty decent clubs in the game that you can use on Thief. One of my favorites I'll pull up and show you because I want to show it. I'm pretty sure you get a pretty good club weapon skill. Sub White Mage to go along with your Thief. What I like about Thief as far as weapons go is even though you can use daggers exclusively, you can equip things like any of the equipable by all jobs items, like the level 1 all jobs items. You can do those. If you sub the right jobs, you get all those perks. So yeah, arguably you could equip a level 1 such and such, but you don't always have a level 119 item. But with Thief, you do get some 119 swords that you can equip. There are like 4 in the game that are really good. And you get some 119 clubs as well to go along with your 119 dagger collection. And what's interesting about that is those 3 weapon types in particular do all of the different damage types that you need. Daggers do piercing damage, clubs do blunt damage, and swords do slashing damage, which are all the 3 physical types of damage in this game. and Thief has access to all three of them. Yet another reason I would argue Thief is a utility job more than it is a DPS, because it has access to all of the different damage types. Like, that's not by coincidence, that's intended, right? And as far as other jobs, we're in the raid now, so I don't have much time to talk about the other three that I would pick, but I would say Samurai sub is really good, Dark Knight sub is really good, Rune Fencer or Blue Mage sub is not bad either. Free ability, like free extra tech. Dancer sub's pretty popular, but not as much as it used to be. Most people as a thief are subbing warrior, but you just don't have as much utility with that skill job. Like, I'm curing people right now, and I can equip some extra movement and I'm fill up my mana bar whenever I tap out. I can just go click something and fill it right back up, so I never run out, really. My dagger's skill being like a A+ or S rank or whatever it is, like, I'm gonna get a lot back off of the weapon skill. I'll just do 1,000 right here on the next target I see that has mana. One of these guys. Probably that backline job right over there. Yeah, one of these guys. Bet you have mana. Come here. Alright. Energy drain. I'm probably tapping out there, yeah. We filled up my energy. 400 energy drain damage, filled up my MP. Like, no problem. Easy peasy. I feel like this guy's using an axe and not a club. Oh, that is a club, okay. And I can just delete stuff. Has the feed sub-white damage. Melee them, sneak attack in the face for 3,000. That's neutral. There's no way that doesn't throw them off. Still 23,000 plus damage. Like, that's insane. I don't need warrior sub to DPS. Are you kidding me? So, like, that's another argument I had when I started this video. Talking about all the different reasons I would sub lightning. A lot of people argue that it's just screwing up your DPS, and that's not true. Like, there's so many ways to improve your DPS. Support job is just one of those ways. So, yeah, I don't get warrior abilities. Yeah, I don't get samurai or dark knight JAs that are super good. But I compensate. I simply compensate in other ways. And it's a fair compensation, I would say. Should attack this guy really quick. Show you guys some. 27,000 distortion skill chain. I'll just hit him again. Got double darkness probably, yeah. 6,000 cumulative darkness skill chain. And by the time I finish calculating it, I can just do another one. That one is still 11k. Just keep pressing the button. Not or not, I'm subbing the white mage. Oh look, everybody has curse. Oh god. It looks like I'm gonna lose my curse now. In a race or a curse now. I'm paralyzed as well, so I can Carolina for this one. Ooh, Carolina. I've got all the people. So that spell's gone. I can use Garuna to handle this one. Oh man, my TP's going down. Whatever will I do? No longer played. Regen 2 because I don't have time. I'm like way behind now, but I brought food, so I can just reload it. No problem. Hooray! I got another heal spell. Where are we going? Durs. Okay. Going to Durs. playing Corsair. I thought he was playing Samurai. He must have swapped. Okay, whatever. It's fine. I don't think I have Flurry as a white mage, so. I also think that I need some TP, so I can get some MP. I found a mage. Let's get in there. Energy drain this guy, fill up my mana bar, so clutch. Drain the shit out of this guy. Alright, I'm slow. I'm gonna use myself. See if I can actually land a silence on one of these mages. Did I get it? Oh, he resisted it. Yeah, so I'm gonna need to tweak my Pwnsalot for the silence stuff if I'm gonna actually try and land it. But it would be possible. It's not impossible. I'll just keep trying to clean it and see if I can get one to one without all the gear. Yeah, so I would have to increase my magic accuracy. Your choices in order to actually get this guy to land on this particular move. But it's not impossible. They would say completely resisted if it was impossible, so I know it's possible. You just need gear checks. Boom. That's right. Quite easy. So, yep. I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons to playing a lot of job combinations in this game. I would have to argue that the only con to playing sub-white mage as a DPS in general is that you have more things to worry about, whereas your usual is just focusing on your DPS. But in lower end content, everyone can do that for you, and they're really good at it. So you might as well round out your party and not just try to out DPS each other, because that kind of mentality might actually cost you the match, especially if people start going down. So I like the versatility of having a sub-white mage party. I would never say no to that if somebody came to my party and like, hey, I think I'm gonna swap my sub-trap back to like a support sub-trap. Just off the wall. I'll be like, yeah, if you've done your homework, then you can make anything work in this game, and that's my argument. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next